Steve Bannon and Bill Barr share a worldview that is pretty scary stuff. Donald Trump does as well. Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to our channel. Bill Barr last night gave an interview to ABC News and basically said, these tweets are not helpful. They're making it hard for me to do my job. And the media is running with this as if he was saying, they're making it hard for me to do my job of impartial justice under the law. But that's not what he said. What he said is they're making it hard for me to do my job, which is apparently doing whatever Trump tells him to do. I mean, this idea that Barr is pushing back on Trump is just a simple lie. You know, the Washington Post just bought it, you know, full line and hook, line, and sinker. In their opening paragraph in their article about this, they said, this is a remarkable public rebuke of Trump. It's not. It's not. What he's saying is, Donald, when you keep telling people that I'm your flunky, it makes me look like a flunky, which makes me a little less effective as a flunky because I've got to have the appearance of not being a flunky. I mean, he admitted that he had intervened in the Roger Stone case. Now, he's saying he did it before he heard from Trump. I don't believe that any more than, well, we know that he lied to us about the Mueller report. He lied to he covered up Iran-Contra back in 1992, the last time he was Attorney General. Covered up Iraq-gate back in 1992. He shut down at least 6 different investigations into Donald Trump when he came into the Department of Justice, according to, multiple reports. He swapped out prosecutors on Michael Flynn so that the so-called Justice Department would go easy on him. He has given speeches saying that he believes in the unitary executive. His 40-page, please Donald, hire me, thing talks about this specifically. He thinks that the executive office essentially should be the king, that the president is the king. And this is, by the way, a commonly held belief among authoritarians, among people who believe that authority figures should run a country. Now, whether Barr is an authoritarian leader or an authoritarian follower, I'll leave to the psychologists and to people like John Dean who've written books about it. John Dean wrote a brilliant book about this called Conservatives Without a Conscience. But he is an authoritarian. And he seems to be, in part, informed in that worldview by his deep embed into the right wing of the Catholic Church. This was, and I'm saying this not to pick on Catholics, this was the speech that Bill Barr gave. And, said right up front, these are not his exact words, but close, that he's informed by his Catholic faith. Well, the Catholic Church is not just a hierarchy, it's a patriarchy. There are no female citizens of the nation, the Vatican. Although the Vatican is on the United Nations Council that oversees birth control policy for the UN. Bill Barr created this investigation of his own department with U.S. Attorney John Durham. He has traveled around the world with John Durham looking for dirt on Joe Biden. Bill Barr has. The Washington Post reports Trump has become more insistent that Durham finishes work soon, and this is in the same article, by the way, that says that this was a remarkable public rebuke. Well, it's 29 paragraphs into the article that we get to the real stuff. Trump has become more insistent that Durham finishes work soon, according to people familiar with the discussion. Trump, these people said, wants to be able to use whatever Durham finds as a cudgel in his re-election campaign. Apparently, up until a few days ago, he thought he was going to be running against Joe Biden. Now, apparently, he thinks he's going to be running against Mike Bloomberg, and he's kind of freaked out about that. Mike Bloomberg tweeting to Trump yesterday, we know the same people, I'm paraphrasing this from memory, we know the same people in New York, and I can tell you, behind your back, they're laughing at you because they consider you a carnival-barking clown. And he points out that Trump inherited a fortune and squandered it on stupid business deals, declared bankruptcy multiple times. Nobody in New York takes Donald Trump seriously. Well, not nobody, but most people, let's say. I think Trump carried by a very, very small minority. Trump did not carry even his own congressional district in New York City. in the presidential race. He lost hugely there. Bill Barr said, Donald Trump has never asked me to do anything in a criminal case. It's an obvious lie. I mean, we've got the receipts for this lie. Which brings us to point 2 of my rant this morning. And that is Donald Trump saying, he just tweeted this morning, and this is the thing that's got, the corporate media, got their panties in a wad, as the old expression goes. He tweeted, the president has... Hang on. He's quoting Barr, right? He puts it in quotes. Quote, the president has never asked me to do anything in a criminal case, close quote, attributed to AG Barr, Attorney General Barr. And then Trump, in his own voice, this is all one tweet, says, this doesn't mean that I do not have, as president, the legal right to do so. I do. But so far, I've chosen not to. And there's all these people, these commentators on TV and whatnot who are saying, no, he doesn't have the legal right to do that. Here is how democracies die. And this is a clue to what we're going to have to do after Donald Trump leaves office, whether it's next January or whether it's 4 years from next January, assuming our republic survives, which I'm very hopeful for. Institutions like the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice has traditionally been completely separate from political considerations, for good reason. That's the hallmark of a banana republic, is that the president, the leader, the prime minister, whatever he may call himself or she, manipulates the criminal justice system to reward friends and punish enemies. That is the hallmark of authoritarian governance. And they use the institutions like the Department of Justice. Well, institutions are protected by both laws and written policies and traditions. And those written policies, in many cases, don't have the force of law. So if Donald Trump decides to subvert the Justice Department, as he has obviously already done, as George Herbert Walker Bush did with Bill Barr back in 1992, if Donald Trump decides to subvert the Justice Department, he has the legal right to do it, in as much as, well, it's never been done this way before, because of tradition, because of values. This is a man who has no use for tradition and no understanding even of values, or scorn for them. So people say, oh, he's tweeting that he has powers he doesn't really have. Actually, he does have those powers. And he can do those things. And by the way, he is. See John Durham. Meanwhile, he's committing extortion right out in plain view, saying to Governor Cuomo of New York that if he doesn't drop investigations, well, here's his tweet: New York must stop all its unnecessary lawsuits and harassment, start cleaning itself up and lowering taxes. The lowering taxes part he obviously just threw in, but unnecessary lawsuits and harassment against who? Donald Trump. They're looking into tax fraud committed against the state of New York by the Trump Properties Corporation. And he's very upset about it. And he is holding hostage anybody from New York who wants to use the Trusted Traveler Program, where, the Global Access, I believe it's called, where when you come into the United States, you go through a really, really fast line at customs, or the TSA pre-line, where you get to go to the, because you're a trusted traveler, you get to go to the short line at the airports. Val Demings, who was one of the House managers for impeachment, really laid this out. She said he is, quote, expanding his abuse of power to blackmailing U.S. states, threatening millions of people he supposedly works for. In this case, he's holding New York State hostage to try to stop investigations into his prior tax fraud. In my opinion, this is extortion. Extortion is a subset of bribery. Bribery is one of the things for which the Constitution explicitly says a president should be impeached. I think it's time to crank it back up again you know, the impeachment. And then Steve Bannon comes out and says, yeah, this is exactly how a president's supposed to behave. See, Steve Bannon, like Bill Barr, is an authoritarian. He doesn't, these people don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in a Republican form of government, as in a republic. They believe in authoritarianism and autocracy. It's a Calvinistic worldview. They believe that you cannot trust the masses. You cannot trust average people. Their votes should not be counted. You should do everything you can to prevent them from voting because, God forbid, average, you know, the rabble, as John Adams called them, be in charge of America. And Steve Bannon said now he understands how to use the full powers of the presidency. The pearl clutchers better get used to it. Well, we're not going to get used to it. This is not normal. It's not healthy. It's not a democracy. It's not right. It's extraordinarily destructive to the United States. And now he's going after not just the judge in the Roger Stone case, he's going after a member of the jury. Jury tampering is a federal felony.